The wagoner. Tell the court your name.
My name is Edwin Stobart.
Edwin Stobart. And what do you wish to bring to the attention of the court, Master Stobart?
I wish to present to the court the fact that the roads in this parish are terrible.
No, the King's Road, sir.
They may be the King's Road, sir, but the parish needs to look after them.
And what is this house on this estate, sir?
Well, as you get goods from me, as other people within the area, I feel that you need to look after your roads.
I think you will find, sir, we pay you good coin to deliver those goods to you. Master Locksley.
Master Stobart, I find your presence here an insult. I find you an abomination. Do you not have that biggest of the heaviest wagon, and you come round here and you nullify roads and you make them so they are not worthy to be ridden on, and you come me that I will put my money into such a venture? But I will tell you people of the court this matter needs to go to the Parliament in London, where it can be addressed at the national level, because the old road network is unfit for purpose. Having said that, may I also say that I have taken an adventure, and you good people are welcome to enfranchise yourselves unto me, because I have recently set about 1,000 labourers and navigators to dig me a canal from Manchester to Liverpool, that I may move my wares not upon the road but upon a canal, on a stop-beam barge, and I can carry much more freight than ye, and you can be a part of this enfranchise by giving me some of your hard-earned money. Now then, gentlemen and ladies, I leave you with one last point. Wonder, if this man gets his wish and has the road repaired, I, given by the grant of King Charles I and the Sheriff of the Nottinghamshire, I will levy a tax upon you to pay for the road. With my purse. Therefore, I think, in reflection, you can enfranchise yourselves to me and we can make business together, or you can send the matter to London. And if I do tax you, I shall make sure you all pay. And if you don't pay, I'll know, because you shall place the predicate.
Sir Robert, it is unseemly of you to threaten the members of the jury. You have already made an appeal for their finances, which is overstepping your limit, but I do thank you for your interest, sir, if you mind.
Yes, sir, I grant you that, but my coffers will be closed on this matter.
Well, sir, that is a matter for the court to determine. Have you anything else to say, Master Stobart?
I have to say, on behalf of wagoners of this state, that the gentleman here, who seems to want to carry much heavier loads on the rivers, which I may add only go in certain places, unlike the roads, which can go into smaller places over the area, will actually cost everybody in the long run, because we will lose work.
Master Stobart, am I correct that those very large carts with their 4 wheels that are so huge, carrying such a load, that they require 2 pairs of horses to draw them, are they yours? Coloured green, named after women? I suggest to you, sir, it is your 4x4s that are ruining our road.
If they're going to, I don't see why all these good people should have their taxes increased.
Indeed,
why don't we charge the wagoners? They could wear pennants to say that they paid their road tax.
One moment. This is ludicrous. Why, next you will be saying these pennants must be a different colour each year.
With the year and the number of the year imprinted.
It works for printers. You have printing works on your estate. Just think of your
Having us to do on my behalf.
Getting beyond our point here. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the impassioned plea from both our wagoner, Master Stobart, and Lord Huxley, who also, I urge you to ignore his suggestion that you should fund his project. That is an aside issue. But first of all, do we believe that the state of the roads are sufficiently perilous and terrible that we will instruct their improvement? If you vote in favour of the parish improving the roads, raise your hand and shout aye. Aye. If you are against such a motion, would you raise your hand and say nay? Nay. It's a close thing. But I do think the ayes have it. Hooray! Thank you, Master Smoker.
And remember also the corporation.
Now, I do have to warn you that our second presentment is not a laughing matter at all. In fact, it is a harrowing tale for which you should all be very feared, and wish it does not befell you or your nearest and dearest. I suggest if you are of nervous disposition, you hold the hand of someone adjacent. This is the calamitous tale, and this court is charged with inquiring into the death of Mistress Blunden. Mistress Blunden, we have found out, died recently, and we are suspicious as to the cause of her death. I call upon the first witness, the maid to Mistress Blunden. Tell the court your name in a loud voice so we all may hear.
Jane.
Jane. And you have been Mistress Blunden's maid for some time.
For nearly 7 years, sir.
All right. And what do we know about Mr. Blunden?
My master travels. He imports brandy and vegetables.
I thought he was a merchant of grain. He probably supplies the people who make the whiskey rather than himself. That was my understanding when I did question him. On June the 1st, did he or did he not make a business trip away to Manchester?
Yes, he did.
And he went in his coach and four. And he left his wife alone and with your care.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what happened when he had set off.
My mistress became upset in the afternoon and asked me to go to the shop for her as she needed some poppy water, sir.
Some poppy water. I see. Is it not true that Mistress Blunden was particular to alcoholic drink?
She found it comforted her in passing away.
Indeed, we can understand that that would be an appropriate remedy. So, you went to the apothecary. Is the apothecary in question here?
Aye, master.
Come forward. Master Apothecary. The witness Jane has said that she was sent by her mistress, Mistress Blunden, for some poppy water.
That is
Perhaps
correct,
the jury is not familiar with poppy water. Could you explain what it is?
The poppy water comes in 2 types, sir. I have the recipes here. The poppy water that she requested has brandy, and infused in it are figs and licorice and other nice things to eat. So it's soaked in the brandy and it comes in bowls.
And one moment, is there another version of poppy water?
There is a lighter form of brandy water with which your lordship is more familiar.
This contains no alcohol, I assure you, but does contain the steeped residue from the opium poppy seed. And it is a very powerful pain reliever.
Is it possible for the resident of Gloria to perhaps test this?
I think it would be unwise, especially when we know the result. So that was the poppy water, Master Apothecary. It sounds to me like it could be harmless. Is there a quantity which is required to be taken?
Indeed, sir, this more powerful infusion in brandy carries a clear label, used in small quantities, in small amounts only.
And did you advise the Lady Jane of this?
I did. I instructed the maidservant verbally that it was to be taken only in small quantities and that she would tell her mistress. Her mistress was very familiar with this infusion.
I see, yes. We understand she was particular to certain drinks. So, Jane, did you take the poppy water to your mistress?
I did, sir.
And did you advise her of the warning from the apothecary?
I did, sir. She waved me by saying she already knew the instructions before.
That is quite possible. So what did you do then?
I left my mistress, sir.
And retired to the evening?
I did, sir.
Tell us what happened on the next day.
I went to wake my mistress.
Nice and loud, the people at the back are struggling to hear.
I went to wake my mistress, draw the curtains, present her with her morning tea, and she didn't stir, sir.
Did not stir.
She did not.
Did you speak to her?
I spoke to her, sir. I even tried to shake her.
Oh, that is over. That is.
I'm sorry, but she was so still. I was frightened.
Were her eyes open or closed?
They were shut, sir. I think she was asleep.
And was she pale
She was pale,
and cold?
very cold.
So what action did you take?
I ran to Mistress Perkins down the road. She's my master's sister. She would know what to do.
Is Mistress Perkins here today? Did you not think of calling the apothecary to help?
I was so upset I didn't know what to do. I'm sorry.
Indeed. Were you not called to
I
find out
was,
what was
sir.
happening? What did you discover?
Mrs. Perkins summoned me at an early hour to the house, sir. I went to the house, to an upstairs room. The heat was oppressive. The smell was dreadful. On the bed lay this enormous woman. She was pale. We pushed silver things against her lips. There was no breath, sir. Her eyes were glazed, were open. She gave all the appearance of passing off this life.
I see. And did you have this verified by a doctor?
We did not, sir.
I see.
Why did you not have it?
Madam, at the time there was plague in the region. We did not know from what she had died. We felt it best to inter the body as soon as possible. The heat was oppressive. The stench in the room was unbearable.
Enough description, I think. Everyone gets them.
So, Maid Jane, did you not send news to Mr. Blunden? And what was his reply? Did he not come back?
He could not come home straight away. He urged Mistress Perkins to do
I see. One can understand the necessity for an early burial in a hot June. So she was laid out properly?
Yes, sir, she was.
And she was then laid to rest? So all procedures were followed correctly. And at no time did anyone suspect that she may not in fact be dead. Oh, fair enough.
And was the husband stopped?
He was, but he has reported to me that he declined to come. He said, since she was already dead, there was little he could do, carry on, it was the most expedient to proceed. He was indeed. And that from which he must be remonstrated. However, our story now becomes most interesting. For I need to call the young child Sophie, if she is present. Ah, there you are, child. Here. These are the people who want to watch you, to see if you are fibbing. Sophie, tell us what happened on the day that we are interested in.
I was going to school and I decided to take a shortcut through the graveyard.
The graveyard, yes? A voice. Did it say words that you could hear? Get me out of this grave. So what did you do, Sophie? Because you could not do that, so what did you do?
I went to tell my Bob. I said that I was magnetic, that I knew a thing was going.
Yes, quite sensible, I see. So, what did you do after that, Sophie? You're doing very well.
I went back to check whether she was right, but I didn't want to get on the
It was fatal. So did you report this to your mother again?
yes, but this time she went and asked the grave digger about this.
Yeah, she probably went to the church warden first, who then went up to the grave. But I think we have got your testimony. Thank you very much, Sophie. You've done very well. We do know that to exhume a recently dug grave takes a certain amount of procedural care with the church before the grave digger can be called. However, I can report that the grave digger eventually did dig up the coffin. And when it was opened, Mistress Blunden was there, and she was deceased. But it was evident that she had not been at the point of entry when the lid was placed, for the lid was scratched severely and there were broken nails on her hands. It is paramount that you understand that this lady was buried alive. What we then need to ask you members of the jury is whether we believe that the young maid Jane is completely culpable or completely free of all blame. Did she have some device, some intent to wish upon her mistress an unpleasant ending?
Why would you do yourself out of a place, a good place like that? You wouldn't do that, would you?
Perhaps she wished to elevate her position to partner Mr. Blunden. That could easily be the point. And what about the apothecary? Do we feel the apothecary is blameless here? Do we think that this is a case of death by misadventure? Or should this jury recommend that further, deeper inquiries should be made for criminal proceedings to be brought? If you think that it is death by misadventure, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. If you feel there is warrant for further investigation with a possibility of criminal charges, raise your hand for aye. Young Sophie, may I tell you now...
woman, lest you be thrown from this cot.
May I tell you that in no way do I believe that you are in any way guilty in this event. You may be called again as a witness, but no charges will be brought against you. I cannot say the same for you.
The child is innocent. She is too young to be of any good.
And she's one of my parish, I know her to be truthful.
Well, there's no dispute with the child. It is only these two people and Mr. Blunden who should be called to
Our
task.
maid here is on very friendly terms with Mr. Blunden.
And indeed, I think that leads to investigation.
I would Mr. Blunden were here that we may cross-examine him now.
Well, we better send them up.
The court has made its ruling, we now must proceed. You are dismissed, apothecary, you are dismissed.
It's always the maid that gets the blame.
Your phrasing is wrong, it is always the blame, the maid that is to blame. Do we have the bailiff?
Yes, good sir. Bailiff is present.
Ah. Bailiff, I believe you are bringing the next presentment.
Yes,
What
good
is
steward.
your story here, sir?
A few days ago, couple of my men were investigating the regions of this parish and came across a peculiar plant in the corner of a field of flax.
Did you recognise this plant?
The men did not, but they reported it as proper to myself, good sir.
And?
I inspected this plant, and I believe it was tobacco.
Tobacco is, of course, an illegal substance to be grown.
That is correct, good sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, if you are not aware of this, back in 1621, King James himself, anxious to protect the colonies in the Americas, where in particular in Virginia tobacco was being established as a valuable crop, and aware that the importation of such a crop gave him access to tax money on landing, he made it illegal for people to grow tobacco in England. It is not considered a health risk. It was to do with the taxation.
Neither is it considered a sin, because
No.
it was one of God's power.
And in fact, King Charles himself has reconfirmed that this will be the case. The tobacco growing is illegal. So, you found a plot of land growing a large quantity of tobacco?
About a whole square or so.
A whole square, significant
Significant enough crop.
Yeah, not a weed.
No, definitely not. I removed a small sample and took it to the apocrypha and asked him to identify it.
Well, I can say that the taste and texture and aroma of tobacco is recognisable.
Having never touched the stuff myself, good sir, I will not know.
He spoke to the spirits, I can assure you. Is the father in question?